Captain Dean Show.
Hello, I'm Captain Dean, and welcome to the Captain Dean Show. This is the first episode, so I'm going to get started with the number one bass that I have to start off with, just to kind of explain the history of everything, what I do as a bass player and songwriter in currently Trash Devils, but it goes back a little bit further than that. So, without further ado, my number 3 bass. I get asked all the time, what's with the 3? The 3 is my favorite number or my lucky number, just like some people have 7 or 13 or whatever they want to do. This bass goes back a pretty good while for me because when I transitioned from being a drummer full-time to wanting to become a bass player full-time, I wanted a bass that represented me. And when someone saw it, they would instantly go, oh, that's Captain Dean's bass. So I thought a white bass with a black number 3 on it would be the way to go. Originally, I had another bass that was painted white with a white pickguard, had a rosewood neck, and it had a number 3 on it, but it was the reflective square like you would see on mailboxes. And that was the original number 3. That only lasted for a short time, and then I got my hands on this one. This bass originally belonged to a gentleman named Robert Ray, who is from the music scene here in the Bowling Green, Glasgow, Kentucky area. And Robert traded me this bass for an amplifier that I had at the time. It was a Fender guitar, I think it was a twin amplifier, but we traded for an amp for this bass, and this got painted white and also had the number 3 added to it. The original number 3 bass got painted fluorescent pink, and I ended up selling that bass to a guy named Mikey Logan, and I think Mikey to this day still has that bass. So I've had this bass since 2018, if I'm not mistaken, and actually it may have been 2017. I think it was 2017 that I got this bass. So around 2019 or so, I took it to a friend of mine who is a luthier in the area named Nathan Fielder, and he put this on his workbench and started to set it up and get it dialed in for me and everything. Because at the time, this was kind of like my only bass. I had maybe a total of 3 or 4, and this was kind of the number 1 that I used most of the time. He put it on his workbench and said, dude, the neck is fried, and its truss rod is like at the breaking point. So he put some shims underneath the neck and got it set up for me to where it was playable for a while. But after a while, I traded out the neck for a couple of different necks, and I ended up putting this one on fairly recently. This is a Mighty Mite Jazz maple neck, but Fender branded, and this neck actually came off of that bass, and whenever I talk about that bass in another episode, I'll tell you more about that. But the tuners are the more sophisticated tuners, I guess, that you would see on a Fender bass, and it fit perfectly in the pocket. And after a while, the white pickguard got kind of bland to me, and my favorite bass players and punk rock bass players, it seemed like the ultimate bass for punk rock music was a white body P bass with a black pickguard. And of course, most people would think of Dee Dee Ramone having that. So I ended up putting a black pick guard on this one. And I also upgraded to Seymour Duncan quarter pounders after a while of using the factory stock pickups that were in this thing. And then a few years ago, at my favorite Guitar Center in Nashville, Tennessee, I stumbled upon this guitar strap, which I thought was perfectly fitting for this space. And it's very comfortable to play. If I ever play a legendary stage or like a big venue for the first time, this bass is usually the one that's going to go along for the ride, because I want anything significant to be done with this bass. And also my Sugar 4 bass, which is down here, which we'll get to in probably the next episode. But anyway, this episode is about my beloved number 3 P bass, and it's one of my favorites, and I love playing it to this day. And here's the specs. This bass, like many of my others, started out as a normal Squier Affinity P bass. I have always used the Rust-Oleum high performance enamel white paint with no gloss coat. It allows for scuffing and wear and tear to just naturally happen to it, which is cool in my book. My strap locks cost a whopping $3. I get the screws with the hoops, and I use the keychain type locking bolts on there. Obviously, growing up a fan of Van Halen, it's not unusual to figure out where this idea came from. But I save a lot of money, and every bass I own has this on it. This is the original pick guard that was on the bass when I acquired it from Robert Ray. Nothing special, just a solid white pick guard. And to make sure I knew this was the original one that came on the bass, I wrote the number 3 on the back so that I could preserve it. This is the original neck that came on the bass when I acquired it from Robert. I sanded off the Squier Affinity logo and just made it plain. I left the original Captain Dean logo and Devil Duck sticker on the back. Most of my basses in the early days had this on the back of the headstock. According to Nathan Fielder, the truss rod inside that little tunnel is at its breaking point and could probably be replaced, but he said it's better just to get a new neck and leave this one alone. So the neck and the original pick guard actually hang on the wall in my music room now. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I got this bass around 2017, maybe 2018. This is the current state that the body has been in for a while. The original number 3 sticker was the glowing reflective material of a letter or a number from a mailbox kind of thing. And I took that off because after a while, I would notice that every time people would take pictures of me at shows, that the number 3 would just be this white flash in the photo and you could never see the 3. I finally replaced it with just a simple black decal number 3 that I picked up at Ace Hardware, because Ace is the place for the helpful hardware folk. After a long time of having the stock Squier pickups in it, I finally upgraded this one to be the Seymour Duncan quarter pounders. These are the PB3 model. I love the sound of these pickups. The tone knob is dead. It is not wired up or anything, just the volume pot. is what is underneath here, and of course a simple input jack. The pick guard I found on eBay, which most of my pick guards that have come into my possession and gone on several bases that I've worked on over the years, I find most of these on eBay, and they're usually under $20. This is a triple ply black, white, black, and I absolutely love the way this looks. When the original neck finally crapped out on me, it was just getting too hard to play it because of the strings were getting higher and higher. So I finally switched out the neck. Long story short, that maple neck on Marcus Van Hoppus originally came on that bass. That bass, which I call Josie, came from Squier. It was one of those Christmas deals or whatever they had, so I got it dirt cheap. And I swapped that neck off of another jazz bass that I no longer have. That neck ended up on this bass for a short time, but it never really fit properly. But if you see the Trash Devils video for Trust the Rat, this bass was outfitted with that maple neck that is currently on Marcus Van Hoppus. When the Heaven bass, which I have now, the white with a white pearl pickguard, white marine pearl, that neck originally was this neck. And after I got started putting that bass together, I decided that the maple neck would look better on that. And so I ended up switching that neck off of yet another project bass. This, when I took it off of that one and started to work on painting that one white, I discovered that this was a Mighty Mite neck with a Fender stamp on the back of the neck. So, therefore, I had permission to put a Fender decal on it. Haters gonna hate. Playing punk rock and pop punk music and a little bit of like ska kind of stuff, those checkerboard straps are a big thing for me. I'm a big fan of that. So I was thrilled to find this strap at Guitar Center. And while I was there, I actually found those two straps as well. And last but not least, on my beloved number 3 is the Ellie badge. I am a hardcore grape soda fan. It is my favorite soda to drink. So having an authentic Ellie badge from Walt Disney World on this strap is awesome. I actually have 2 Ellie badge buttons, one on my number 3 bass and one on my Sugar 4 bass, which we will feature in another episode. This particular Ellie badge was the first one I ever got, and I purchased this at Disney Hollywood Studios in Florida. I don't remember what year I got it, but it was when they had the Mickey Mouse hat from Fantasia in the middle of Hollywood Studios. It was a pin trading station, and this is where this particular Ellie badge came from. Well, there you go. That's all the history and backstory on my beloved number 3 bass. It's been Frankensteined a little bit. It's had a couple of different necks on it. Changed the pickups, changed the pick guard, put a different number 3 on it from the original. The strap and the grape soda button This bass just represents me. I'm Captain Dean, and tune in next time for another episode of the Captain Dean Show.
Do 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 ba do 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 ba do 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 boo boo ba ba da ba 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 do 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 ba one ba 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 da ba ba da 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 ba ba da ba ba da ba ba do 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 ba 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 ah do 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 ba do 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 do